It's 3 a.m. in the Serengeti. The air is dry. The temperature has dropped. And somewhere out there, something is moving through the darkness. A lion. Male. Young. Alone. 3 days walking, no food. No water since yesterday morning. And he is deep, dangerously deep inside territory that does not belong to him. Every instinct is telling him to turn back. The scent markings on the trees, the dried urine on the rocks, the claw marks gouged into the bark, all of it is a message written in a language older than any human alphabet. This land is claimed, you are not welcome here. But he keeps walking, because the alternative, retreating into the dead zones between prides where prey is scarce and danger is everywhere, might kill him slower, but it will kill him just as certainly. And then he stops. 6 pairs of eyes reflecting in the dark, motionless, watching him. He has walked straight into a pride's resting ground. 4 females, 2 males, and they have been watching him for several minutes already. His name was Scar. 4 years old, 14 months on his own, out of options. Most of what you think you know about lions is wrong. Fundamentally, structurally, almost completely wrong. The lion is not a solitary king. The male is not the leader. The females are not passive hunters, and the roar echoing across the savannah is not a declaration of power. This is what really happens inside a pride. The iconic image. A male, massive mane, standing on elevated ground, surveying the plains, is on logos, flags, the crests of nations. And it tells you almost nothing true about how lions actually live. It never shows you the females 200 meters to the left who have been living on this land their entire lives, the cubs hidden in the long grass, the complex web of relationships that hold this group together and make its survival possible. The male in that photograph did not build what you are looking at. He arrived. He fought for the right to stay. His tenure will last 3 to 4 years before he is replaced by someone stronger. The females have been here for decades. The foundation of every pride is a group of related females, mothers, daughters, sisters, aunts, a matrilineal core bound by blood and shared knowledge of the land. They know every water source, every seasonal migration pattern, which areas are worth defending. This knowledge is not instinct, it is learned. The social structure has 4 layers. At the foundation, resident females. They are the pride. Around them, cubs and subadults, the reason all other decisions are made. Then, the coalition males, typically 2 to 4 related individuals. Larger, more visible, louder, and in the popular imagination, more important. In reality, their role is specific. Defend against rival coalitions, father the next generation, and eat first from every kill. In exchange, they absorb the violence that would otherwise fall on the females and cubs. It is a transaction, not a monarchy. And finally, the nomads, the most vulnerable and most dangerous individuals in the lion world. Territory is maintained through one of the most sophisticated communication systems in the animal kingdom. Scent marking covers every surface, urine on rocks and trees, gland secretions on bark, each deposit coding identity, age, sex, reproductive status. And then there is the roar. At close range, over 114 decibels. Field researchers demonstrated in controlled experiments that lions accurately assess the numerical strength of an opposing group from their roars alone. A pride facing an apparent coalition of 3 or more will withdraw. The same pride facing what sounds like a single male will advance. They are counting by ear, in the dark, from 8 kilometers away. Between territories lie buffer zones, dead ground, areas where prey is abundant, but where no resident lion willingly enters. This is where nomads live by necessity, where evicted subadults drift.
And when the buffer zone finally collapses, when two groups that had kept each other at a respectful acoustic distance are suddenly sharing the same water holes, the consequences are swift and brutal.
The light is changing. A herd of zebra has shifted position. Several lions have noticed. And then one female stands up. She doesn't vocalize, doesn't look around for consensus. She simply stands, orients her body, and begins to walk. Within 90 seconds, every other member of the pride is on its feet and moving in the same direction. The male, asleep for 4 hours, gets up last. He follows. That female, that is where the power in this pride actually lives. The dominant female is typically the oldest reproductively active female, the most experienced hunter. Her authority is enforced not through aggression, but through deference. Other females yield to her at kills, follow her movement decisions, align their behavior to hers because they have learned through repeated experience to trust her judgment. The cubs in a pride are not being raised by their mothers. They are being raised by the pride. Allow mothering, collective care of offspring by non-biological mothers, is practiced by lions at a level unusual even among social mammals. Females nurse cubs that are not their own, guard cubs while their mothers hunt, position themselves between cubs in danger at real personal risk. This is rooted in genetic relatedness. Helping the cub survive is mathematically helping themselves survive into the future. The coalition system contains a paradox at the heart of what we mean by loyalty. The bond between coalition males is real and deep, years together in constant difficulty and danger. The mathematics of evolution should pull them apart. The reality is that it doesn't. A subordinate male in a coalition of 4 fathers more surviving cubs over his lifetime than a lone male attempting to hold territory alone. The coalition survives longer, defends more effectively. The loyalty is real. The Serengeti Lion Project, running continuously since 1966, documents this clearly. A lone male lasts less than a year before displacement. A coalition of 2 to 3 years. 3 or 4 males, 5 years or more. The Mapogo Coalition in South Africa, 6 brothers held dominance for nearly 6 years. At between 2 and 3 years of age, young males are evicted. The resident coalition males begin displacing subadults from food, stop allowing them to sleep in close contact. The cost of intervention is too high, directly confronting the coalition on whom the entire pride's defense depends. The mortality rate among nomadic subadult males exceeds 80%. 8 out of 10 will die before holding territory of starvation, hunting injuries, territorial confrontations, disease. The ones who survived made better decisions, formed better alliances, took calibrated risks. And the ones who make it through begin to listen to roars. Somewhere out there, a resident coalition is getting older. The most important thing that happens between a pride of lions and its prey almost never happens at the moment of the kill. It happens in the 4 hours before. Lions rest 18 to 20 hours per day. This gets cited as evidence of laziness. The interpretation is wrong. A large male weighs 180 to 250 kilograms. Moving that body costs calories at a rate smaller predators don't face. A pride of 12 needs 70 to 80 kilograms of meat per day, 500 kilograms per week. This tells you immediately that a pride cannot survive on small prey. It needs large prey regularly. A lone lion hunting independently succeeds on large prey 10 to 15% of the time. The same animal in a coordinated group achieves 25 to 30%. That difference, compounded across hundreds of hunts over a lifetime, is the difference between a gene that survives and a gene that disappears. A coordinated hunt begins not with movement, but with attention. The pride orients collectively towards something a human observer 50 meters away cannot yet see. Ears rotating, eyes fixing, heads lifting in synchrony with no conductor and no signal. The pre-hunt awareness phase can last hours.
The pride may then cover 10 or 12 kilometers at a slow walk, staying downwind, using every fold in terrain. The dominant female makes decisions continuously. When she stops, they stop. When she drops low, they drop. Through micro-movements the other females have spent years learning to read. Then the pride splits into roles. Flanking females close escape routes, pre-positioning against where the prey will run when the chase begins, not where it is now. The ambush female closes distance at a pace just below the threshold that would trigger flight. What the prey sees when the ambush breaks is a single lion. What it is actually facing is a coordinated system with multiple points of closure. Some prides have been documented using deliberate deception. One female allows herself to be seen upwind of the herd, fixing the herd's attention on her, while the rest of the pride moves into position from a completely different direction. This behavior has been documented across multiple study sites. It cannot be attributed to coincidence. The success rate is 30% on a good night. 7 out of 10 hunts end in failure. After a kill, the hierarchy reveals itself. Coalition males feed first, not because they hunted, then the dominant female, then other females by rank. Cubs eat what adults leave. During severe dry seasons, cub mortality can exceed 50%, not a failure of the pride system.
There is a specific behavioral change field researchers have learned to watch for. It precedes almost every time. The males start roaring less, a gradual reduction where a prime coalition roars 4 or 5 times a night, an aging coalition roars twice, then once, then some nights not at all. They are conserving energy. Their bodies, carrying the accumulated damage of years of fighting, are beginning to do the arithmetic differently. The silence spreads across the landscape. Young males are listening. Playback experiments revealed that nomadic males respond to specific acoustic features in territorial roars, features that encode the age, size, and condition of the animals producing them. They distinguish between 1 roaring animal and 2, between 2 and 3. Their behavioral response tracks the apparent number with a consistency that rules out coincidence. This is reconnaissance. The reconnaissance phase lasts weeks or months. Challenger males appear at the edges of the territory, not crossing, not engaging, just testing. How quickly do residents respond? How vigorous is the counter-display? The residents know what is happening. They roar harder than they feel, scent mark with a frequency their bodies struggle to sustain. They try to look like what they no longer entirely are. When the challengers are stronger and numerous enough, no amount of performance changes the outcome. It only determines the timing. Real takeovers are campaigns, days or weeks of engagements, retreats, re-engagements. There is a display phase, parallel walking, ground pawing, roaring at close range. Both sides try to communicate maximum threat while minimizing actual combat, because combat between adult male lions is extraordinarily dangerous, and both sides know it. When display fails, the fighting begins, sustained, mutual, close quarters. Resident males defeated and unable to escape are frequently killed by the incoming coalition or die within weeks of their wounds. Those who escape become old nomads, injured, without the coalition bonds that sustained them before. Their life expectancy is measured in months. The new males enter the pride's core territory within 48 hours. The females are in a state of agitation, moving erratically, vocalizing, clustering, and dispersing. And then the new males begin moving through the pride. Infanticide, the killing of cubs by incoming males, is a predictable component of the takeover sequence. A nursing lioness will not return to estrus for up to 18 months. A male with, on average, 3 to 4 years before his own coalition is displaced cannot afford to wait. Killing the cubs ends lactation. The females return to estrus within weeks. The biological logic is precise and pitiless. Females do not submit passively. They form protective coalitions around older cubs, actively confronting and chasing incoming males.
There are documented cases of females mating with incoming males before the takeover is complete, creating paternity confusion that sometimes spares cubs. And there are documented cases of females hiding litters in dense vegetation for weeks, emerging only to nurse, never leading the males to the location. In one confirmed case, a female maintained concealment for 6 weeks. When she emerged, 4 healthy cubs survived. Whatever we want to say about the cognitive mechanisms underlying it, that series of decisions had the structure. In 1900, there were an estimated 200,000 lions on Earth. Today, between 20,000 and 25,000 in Africa. The Asiatic lion survives as a single population of approximately 700 individuals in one forest in India. From 200,000 to 25,000 in 120 years. African lion populations declined 43% between 1993 and 2014 alone. In West Africa, fewer than 400 individuals remain, functionally extinct across most of their historical range. The primary driver is not poaching, it is space. Lions need large, connected territories. That land is under relentless pressure from a human population that has tripled since 1960. Habitat loss is not deliberate destruction. It is millions of small, rational decisions made by people who need to feed their families. The cumulative effect is fragmentation. Isolated prides cannot maintain genetic exchange, cannot respond to prey collapses, cannot recover from disease. The second driver is human-wildlife conflict. A lion that kills a cow is doing exactly what lions do in a landscape where its hunting range and the farmer's grazing land have been compressed together. For a subsistence farming family, losing 5 or 6 animals in a season can be economically devastating. Without alternatives, the response is retaliatory killing, poisoning that ripples through entire predator communities. This is not cruelty, it is a rational response to an economic threat. The single most effective conservation intervention is large, connected habitat protection, combined with community programs giving local people a direct economic stake in lion survival. The Nyasa Lion Project in Mozambique combined monitoring with livestock compensation and documented measurable population recovery over a decade. When the economic cost of coexistence is absorbed, the motivation for retaliatory killing decreases and populations recover. GPS satellite collars have transformed conservation tracking. Complete movement patterns year-round, revealing that assumed corridors were avoided, that unprotected areas were critical movement routes, and enabling real-time conflict prevention by alerting rangers before livestock attacks occur. The Asiatic lion demonstrates recovery is possible. In the Gir forest of India, a population reduced to 20 animals a century ago has recovered to 700 through strict protection and community coexistence. The trajectory is not inevitably downward. The limiting factor is not biology. Lions breed effectively under good conditions. The limiting factor is whether human societies can find arrangements, economic, political, cultural, that make lion survival compatible with human welfare. Where those arrangements have been found, lions recover. Scar was born into a mid-sized pride, 7 females, a coalition of 3 males in a territory straddling a seasonal river. He was evicted at 28 months, leaving with his younger brother Arrow into the buffer zone northeast of their birth territory. 14 months of nomadic life, failing more than they succeeded, losing kills to larger predators, pushing the boundaries of territories they had no right to enter, retreating when they had to. Then Scar walked into the wrong territory at 3 in the morning and found himself facing 6 pairs of eyes in the dark. The resident males approached directly, without hesitation, 1 against 2 in their territory at a kill in the dark. Over the following 6 weeks, Scar and Arrow spent more time at that pride's boundary than anywhere else in their range. Not crossing, not displaying, listening, cataloging roaring frequency, the hours it occurred, which portions of the boundary were marked heavily and which were not. In the 7th week, the pattern that had been 3 to 4 roars per night dropped to once. The older resident male had not been seen at the boundary for 11 days. Scar and Arrow crossed on a Tuesday night, 3 hours before dawn. 4 days of attritional campaign followed. On the second night, a genuine fight left Arrow with a shallow gash and one resident male with a serious wound to his foreleg. On the third day, the wounded resident was moving slowly. On the fourth morning, the pride's core territory was quiet. The 3 youngest cubs, born 11 weeks earlier, did not survive the first week. The 4 older cubs survived. The new males investigated them and moved away. Those cubs were alive at the end of the first month, and their survival probability increased with each subsequent week. Scar and Arrow held that territory for 4 years and 3 months. Scar fathered 11 cubs that survived to independence. Arrow fathered 9. Of those 20 animals, 14 were still alive at the time of the researchers' most recent published report. When they were eventually displaced by 3 males from the north, they retreated together into the buffer zone as they had 14 years earlier. Older now, slower, the wounds healing incompletely. Scar's GPS collar transmitted its last signal on a morning in the dry season near a waterhole that had dried up 3 weeks earlier. The researchers went to the location. They found what they expected. He was 9 years old, which is, for a wild male lion who has done what he did, a full life. The pride still exists. The territory is held by the coalition that displaced him, themselves now in the period of declining roar frequency that Scar once observed and calculated against. 2 young males, recently evicted from a neighboring pride, have been spending increasing time near the boundary. They are listening. The oldest female, Dominant, established before Scar and Arrow arrived, outlasting them both, moves through the territory she has known for her entire life with the unhurried authority of an animal that understands the land persists when the individuals within it do not. She has watched coalitions come and go, navigated takeovers, droughts, prey collapses, the deaths of animals she spent her entire life alongside. She will die eventually. The pride will continue. This is what really happens inside a pride. Not the solitary king on the emblem, something older and more complicated and in every way more true. Related females carrying the memory of the land in their bodies. Young males learning the cost of the world through years of exposure to it. Coalitions formed in hardship, measured by how many lives they leave behind. The lion has been doing this for close to 1 million years. The pride structure, the coalition system, the territorial acoustics, the coordinated hunt, the takeover, all refined across deep time, surviving ice ages and drought cycles, and the arrival of a competing species that now determines whether lions will continue to exist. That species is us. If the habitat remains, if the corridors hold, if the communities that live alongside lions are given the support to make coexistence viable, if those conditions are met, the lion will be here in 100 years. Young males will be evicted, will wander the buffer zones, will listen to roars in the dark and calculate their chances. Some of them will cross the boundary. The females will still be there when the dust settles. They always are.